Welcome back, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are back with the Unbreakable Wisdom Show. We've been on a little summer break. So, back for the fall, we will be live every first and third Saturday of the month. So, I went ahead and pinned a post to the top of the Working Strategist Facebook page, and that will give you the topics of the show as well as the dates of the show so that you can plan accordingly. Every month we'll have a topic. The topic for August is better decisions, and we'll move on from there. So August has a topic, September, October, November, December, and then I will publish a schedule for the new year as we get closer to the end of the year. Okay, so again, I pinned a post on the Working Strategist Facebook page so that you can see the dates and the themes of the shows. We're going to be leaning more into giving you guys actionable things with every show. I'm going to give you things with every show and some homework that you can take into your life and use it. And we'll be focusing sort of more professional, small business, and just personal development like we always have been. Just a little bit more intentional with the themes of the shows. And again, running twice a month versus every week, just to give me a little bit of a break after 12. We're going into the 13th year. So I think that I deserve a break. Therefore, again, first and third Saturday of every month. Okay, so pinned a post on the Working Strategist Facebook page so that you can see the dates and the themes. The other thing is, hey, good morning, Janet. Good morning, Michelle. The other thing is I'm going to be teaching a free series of business masterclasses from now on that run every single month, a different class every month. In order to find the information about that, go to the link in the bio. So the link in the bio on the Facebook page and the link in the bio on Instagram. Okay. You can find me at The Working Strategist on both Instagram and Facebook. So the link in the bio will allow you to register, will allow you to see every masterclass for every month, and will allow you to register for those for free. And I'm going to be running small business educational intensives called Build to Last. And there'll be 2 different types of those, and those will run every quarter. So stay tuned on more information on that. And I still am working one-on-one with people as well. This is just some different things to help more people. It has come to my attention in the last year that education, professional and business education, is really lacking. Real world professional and business education. I understand you can go and get a master's degree and all the certificates. However, translating that stuff into how it operates in your small business or in your professional life or in your career is a different skill set, and one that I happen to have. So I'm going to start sharing that more with everybody. Okay, so we're talking about better decisions for August. And here's the thing, your decisions will never exceed the quality of your emotional state. And that is something that I don't think, when people think about making decisions, I don't think we all break that down. I don't think we're thinking about like, how are we feeling and how are we tracking emotionally before we make a decision or in the process of making a decision. Most decisions are made from a point of emotion. Some emotion, happiness, sadness, anger, apathy. There's some emotion that is usually driving every decision that we make, both in our personal and professional life, unless we're checking ourselves at the door, unless we are really looking at that. Most times a situation presents itself. We're human beings. We have an emotional reaction to most every situation, some emotional reaction. And then we go forward, we make our decision based on how we feel. And honestly, that is not a sound place to make great decisions from. This is why when someone's in a argument or some discord in a personal situation or discord in a business situation, I'm always encouraging people, never make a decision from a reactive state of mind. Never do that. Because any decision that you make when you're reactivated and emotionally charged will not hold. And that is why you see some people bouncing all over the place, right? They're upset about something, so they decide something, and then 2 weeks later they decide something else, and then 2 weeks later they decide something else. And I'm sure you know people like this, right? That is not a decision making problem, that's an emotional management problem. Most people do not manage their emotions well. And when you don't manage your emotions well, it renders you incapable of making sound and solid decisions, right? There's a lot of online coaches and a lot of, you know, a lot of remedies that are showing you how to fix something in the moment. And what I'm striving to do here with the professional and business educational stuff and the personal development educational stuff is to show you how to fix it all the way down, right? I don't want to give you tools just to fix something in the moment. I want to teach you how to become shatterproof and how to build a career and a business and a life that follows the intentions that you have for it and one that lasts. So we're not about, although I can help you fix something in the moment that's kind of like an emergency situation, the real value of me is to take all the things that I teach and that I will be teaching you and put them to work in your life and start to change the way that you operate. I want to teach you how to think in a different way, because when you think in a different way, you come from a different place and different opportunities present themselves to you, and you're able to do different things that you weren't able to do before because it wasn't in your realm of possibility prior, and now it is. So your decisions won't exceed the quality of your emotional state. So until you can learn to manage your emotional state, you will not be equipped to make decisions that really will enhance the quality of your life and your business, if you have a business, or your career, right? Everybody's got a job, so everybody's doing something. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 points to think about in this whole decision conversation. And then in 2 weeks, because again, just for those of you that are joining us now, the show's going to run the first and third Saturday of every month. Every month we'll have a theme, and those dates and themes are pinned to the top of the Working Strategist Facebook page. I just pinned that post this morning. Okay, so you can find the topics and the dates there. So what I'm going to do is give you 5 points, and then I'm going to give you some homework if you choose to accept it. And in 2 weeks, so the third Saturday of August, we'll come back and I'll give you some more things to think about in regards to better decisions. So look at it this way. When I say that your decision-making quality will not exceed the quality of your emotions, if you're angry, you're going to make anxious decisions and angry decisions, right? You'll make reactive decisions. If you're peaceful, you'll make thoughtful decisions. If you're anxious, you're going to make anxious decisions because you can't get your peace, okay? So point number 1 is your emotions are driving your decision-making process much more than you think they are. And that's what I want to make you aware of so that you can start to think about that, okay? Most people believe that they're making logical decisions. I need more coffee. And science tells us otherwise, right? Science tells us that most decisions are made automatically before the logical brain ever gets involved, which means those are emotional decisions. If you're overwhelmed, your brain is searching for immediate relief. And if you're afraid, your brain is searching for safety. If you're frustrated, your brain wants control. So you think you're making a good decision, and really you're making an emotional decision, right? So what I want you to do is just to start to think about that. When you have to make a decision, I want you to think about the place that you're coming from to make that decision. My ultimate goal in this show is to show you that peace before action is where you want to get to. Your peace is your power. I say that all the time. And that is true, very true in your decision-making process. Okay? Because the second point is peace creates perspective. When you are able to disengage yourself from what's happening right here and take yourself up a level higher, think about if you were in a big mall and there was an escalator and an atrium, right? And you went up to the second level and you look down and you can see everything that's happening on the first level of that mall because you took an escalator up and you got to the second level. Okay. So that's what I want you to be able to do in your life. I want you to be able to disengage yourself from the bullshit that's happening right here, right now. That seems urgent, by the way. Everything always seems urgent. Unless you're bleeding out, it's not urgent. Unless someone's going to die and and that requires you to act in a split second, it's not as urgent as you think. Okay? So when you are pushing yourself or someone's pushing you for an answer or a decision, be able to take that pause for yourself. Because when someone's coming at you demanding something, and you're not able to catch your bearings and take that white space for a pause to give yourself some peace, whatever you decide out of that is not going to be from a position of strength. So, peace before action. Peace creates perspective. Pull yourself out of what's happening right here, get yourself up a level, and look at the situation with perspective. Instead of thinking I have to fix this right now, I want you to be asking, what's really happening here? What's really going on here? What's really happening here? Point 3, slow your roll before you decide anything. Slow down. Slow down. This world right now is designed, there is shit coming at you from everywhere. It's coming from your phone, it's coming from your computer, it's coming from it's right, it's something's coming at you all the time. You've got to be able to slow your roll so that, first of all, so you can breathe. Just breathe. Because a lot of us forget that part, which is really important. Slow your roll. Ask yourself what's really going on here. Okay. The fourth point, learn to separate the facts from the story that you invented about what's happening. Those are two very different things. Because something occurs, you have a reaction to that. That reaction is based on some kind of information from the past in which you made a decision about these types of things. So your brain knows when I see something that smells like that and looks like that, it means this. That may have very little to do with the actual factual situation that is in front of you. You have to be a detective in your own life. You have to start having more curiosity as to why you do the things that you do, what's driving that, what perspective is coloring that. Okay? Learn to separate the facts of what has presented itself to you from the story that you have invented about it. Because your story is always attached to something from the past. when the past is driving your future, everything will continue to look the same. Do you understand? When you're making your decisions based on past experience, you don't have a fresh perspective. You're not seeing what's really before you. You are instead have like a cone on your head and you're operating from past understanding. So you have to rip that off your head and ask what's really happening right here, right now. What are the facts of what's going on here? Okay? Rather than the story that I invented. Brene Brown has a great story in one of her books about, or maybe it was in Dare to Lead. I'm Dare to Lead trained, so I've been through her whole program in that regard. And she, excuse me, tells a story about, how we do this, how we attach a meaning, right? So she's working on her book and she's at her kitchen table and her husband comes in and she's usually in charge of like getting food and food shopping and all those things. And she hasn't had time to do any of that because she's been working on her book. And she secretly feels guilty that feels like she's neglecting her family because she's working on her book. And she secretly has made up that her husband is angry about that. Okay. So he comes in and he looks in the fridge and he says there's no cold cuts. And she decides that means all these things. So she comes into the kitchen and they get into like a thing. And she recognizes that she has made, there's no cold cuts in the fridge, which is simply a fact. He opened the fridge, there was no cold cuts in there. She made that mean that she's bad, wrong, a bad wife, a bad mother. She doesn't take care of her family. She made up a whole story about what it meant when her husband simply opened the refrigerator and said, there's no cold cuts in here. Okay. We all do this. Something occurs in your business or in your life, some email that you get, some phone call that you get, someone doesn't give you a raise or a promotion in your job, somebody doesn't come to a coffee date that you made with them, someone doesn't sign up to be your client, someone leaves from being your client, whatever it is, something occurs and we decide it means blah, 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 whatever. Okay. And that's just false information, right? Fear, false evidence appearing real, false information, same thing, bullshit, call it what you will. I want you to start to really, when something occurs for you, stop making it mean some bullshit thing that it meant once or some story that you assigned to it or whatever. If your husband opens a refrigerator or your wife and says there's no cold cuts, guess what that means? There's no cold cuts in the fridge. That's a fact. Whatever else you add on to that is your interpretation. Your interpretations are driving your emotions, which are driving your decisions, which means most of your decision-making process isn't based on fresh perspective. It's based on perspective from the past. Do you understand? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Nothing new can happen if your perspective is only coming from what happened to you before. How is anything new supposed to get in there? How is anything new supposed to be created? If everything that occurs, you have assigned some meaning to it that's an interpretation from something that happened to you 1 month, 2 months, 10 years, 5 years, 50 years ago, it is not fresh perspective. And then you wonder why your business isn't the way you want it to be, or your life isn't the way you want it to be, or your job isn't the way you want it to be, or your marriage isn't the way you want it to be. Wake up. It's not the way you want it to be because you keep operating on old shit. And nothing new happens when you do that. So if I can get you to a place of peace, which is where your power is, because peace means, first of all, I can breathe. Second of all, I can remove myself from the reactivity and get up to the next level and ask myself, what the hell's really going on here? So before I even respond or make a decision, I want to inform myself with facts about what's really happening. You see this a lot when people are in meetings, right? Or there's a team situation or a board meeting or a staff meeting or a PTA meeting. Everybody comes to the meeting with their own secret agenda, which has nothing to do with the matters at hand, right? And not only do they come with their secret agenda, they come with all their interpretations of the past. So as soon as someone says something in the meeting, it's bound to trigger other people at the table because it reminds them of this person, that person, right? And now you see why things like that break down. You see why lots of meetings are ineffective. You see why lots of collaborations don't work out. You can see why sometimes there's a lot of stress and strain when people get together in clumps, because most people are not making sure that they have fresh perspective when they sit down at the table or at the coffee or at the meeting. They haven't wiped themselves clean from whatever they thought about all the things, right? And they don't usually come to the thing with a fresh perspective. They come saddled with all the crap from the past. The fifth point here is ask better questions, which is, I've been kind of weaving that through the whole theme here, right? Ask better questions. Instead of asking yourself, what should I do? What assumptions am I making? What am I afraid of, if anything? What are the facts of this situation? How would I advise someone else in this situation? What decision would align with my vision of myself for the future? Those are some examples of better questions that you can ask. Why I say ask better questions is because it interrupts emotional reactivity. Okay. Pattern interrupt. It's one of my specialties. Pattern interrupt. Pattern interrupt. When we do that, that automatic way that we have of moving through our lives, it is interrupted. Okay. And guess what happens when you pattern interrupt? Something new can show up, something new can happen, something different, something that you didn't expect. That's where the miracles come from. You don't know everything, neither do I. We don't know what we don't know that we don't know. The magic happens in the peace, in the pause, in the question asking. Remember that your peace is your power, both in your life and in your business and in your career, in all the places that you operate. Peace is your power. This is why bookending your days is something I literally beat the table about with clients and students across the board, right? I see a few students and clients on here watching the show. They know, bookend your days. I say this because when you start your day from a place of peace and you end your day in a place of peace, you are much more equipped to handle what's coming at you in the middle. Okay? You're much less prone to be reactive when you come from a place of peace and you end the day in a place of peace. Okay, so just to reiterate this entire conversation, this is about making better decisions. This is about having you start thinking about your decision-making process. The quality of your decisions will not exceed the quality of your emotional state. Meaning that if you are anxious and fraught all the time, your decisions are being made from that place, and that is not a place of foundation building. Emotional, reactive decisions bring chaos. Peaceful, thoughtful decisions give you foundational material to build your life on. Okay. So, point one, your emotions are driving more of your decisions than you realize. Just start looking at that. Start noticing how you are, what kind of energy you're in when you are making decisions. Point two, peace creates perspective. Having your peace gives you the ability to have perspective that you don't have when you're in a reactive state. Slow your roll. Point three, slow down before you decide anything. Stop letting people push you into urgency when nobody's dying and it's not urgent, okay? A lot of things that the world would like us to believe are urgent are not, in fact, urgent. Important, yes. Urgent, no. Don't let people push you into places emotionally that you don't want to go. Activate your boundaries. Stop putting up with other people's shit. Stop letting people try to force you into deciding something or doing something if you're not quite ready. Delay is a whole nother conversation, but that's for another day. Right now, I'm talking about like healthy boundaries when you feel pushed to do something and you don't feel like you have your peace yet. What I want you to get out of doing is making decisions when you don't feel grounded. Okay. Point four, learn to separate facts of the situation from the story that you invented about the situation. And point five, ask better questions. Ask better questions. When you ask better questions, you pattern interrupt. Hi, Andrea. When you pattern interrupt, something new happens. You come off automatic pilot. Most of us are living our lives on automatic pilot, you guys. You know how you get in the car and you know that you need to go somewhere and it's probably somewhere different, and then you just like end up where you always go and you're like, oh shit, I was going somewhere else. That's autopilot. We use pattern interrupt to break into autopilot. When we break into autopilot, something new happens. When you ask better and different questions, you're pattern interrupting, and that causes new results. Okay, so here's your homework, should you choose to accept it. Okay, so here's a decision journal challenge. Melissa, you'll like this show, Melissa. If you're just popping in, you'll like this show. She's my friend. All right, so decision journal, 1 week challenge, or actually we're back the third week of August, so I guess it's really a 2 week challenge. What decision am I making? What emotion am I feeling right now as I'm making that decision? Am I reacting or responding? What are the facts of this situation? And if I were in a place of complete peace, would I make the same decision? Okay. So that's a 1 week like journal activity. And then the second week, go back and evaluate. and see if your emotional state improved or diminished the quality of that decision that you made. The whole idea here is to get you to wake the F up about how you are deciding things that affect your life. So, journal challenge, asking these questions. When you make an important decision, asking yourself these questions. What's the decision? What emotion am I feeling right now? Am I reacting or responding? What are the facts of the situation versus the story I made up about it? And if I were completely in a place of peace, would I make the same decision? And then a week later, go back and evaluate yourself and decide if the emotional state that you were in improved or diminished the quality of those decisions. So this is just like, get curious, you guys. Start getting curious. Stop letting other outside shit affect the quality of your life and business and your career and all the things. Your peace is your power. You have the power to turn things around. You have to be in a place of peace in order to do that. Okay? All right. So, your emotions drive more of your decisions than you realize. Point one that we made, crease, peace. I need coffee. Peace creates perspective. Peace, 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 peace. Peace creates perspective. Third point, slow your roll. Slow down, okay? Unless someone's bleeding out, like I said, or someone's going to die, unless you make a split-second decision, it's not urgent. Important, yes. Urgent, no. Stop letting the urgent force you to do things that you may not do if you were in a place of peace, okay? So slow your roll before you decide things. Fourth point, learn to separate facts of the situation at hand from the story that you made up about it. And fifth point, ask better questions. Ask yourself better questions. Okay? If you just joined us at the end, go back and watch this whole show. It's full of good stuff that will help you cultivate better decisions in your life, business, professional, career, relationships, the whole bit. Better decisions are better decisions across the board. Peace before action is what I want you to keep in your mind. Maybe write that down for yourself on a note card or a sticky. Peace before action. Okay? Peace is your power. Coming from a place of peace is important. Learning to manage your emotional state is of the highest importance. Any leadership training that I do, that is the number one thing we have to start with. As a leader of anything, you, including your life, you have to be able to manage your emotional state. You have to stop reacting to things. You cannot lead unless you are clear-headed. That you cannot lead your life, you cannot lead your business, you cannot lead the PTA, you cannot lead your household, you cannot lead anything unless you are coming from a place of peace and unless you can handle your emotional state. You have to be able to quell emotional reactions immediately, return yourself to a place of peace, and make decisions based from there. Okay? All right. I hope you guys have a great several weeks. I will see you the third Saturday in August. Again, I pinned the schedule and the topics to a post on the Working Strategist Facebook page. And I am teaching a series of masterclasses, one a month, and you can find the information about those. They are free, and sign up for them by clicking the link in the Facebook page bio or the link on my Instagram bio. Hope you guys have a great week, great 2 weeks. It'll take me a while to get used to doing the show every other week, so just bear with me, and I will see you soon. Take care.